Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to give you some ideas on how to prepare for an oil painting. You can use of course these techniques for acrylics as well. Usually everything starts with the sketch stage. On a piece of cotton watercolor paper I usually sketch down my ideas for the final painting. I like to keep it quite loose with my lines and just use a regular pencil. I like just to outline the figure and the final details will come later at the color stage. This is how my mind works. I much prefer to keep everything a little bit loose because I'm not a great drawing person. I prefer just to go in with color. I usually work from a photo reference, and if I don't take the photo myself, I like to use references like Pinterest or Google Image. These are very useful platforms. Just be mindful that some images are copyrighted, so it's always a good idea to reach out to the artist or the person that took the picture, especially if you plan to sell the final artwork or publish it on social media, for example. When I'm happy with the initial painting, I start watercoloring. And I use watercolor for 99% of my paintings. For the initial stage, I like to use watercolors or other mediums that are more or less immediate. It happens that I kind of just use pencil sometimes, but this quite vary. This is like the usual thing that I do. 99% of the time, I sketch my first draft with watercolor. My watercolor palette in fact is mirroring the set of oils that I own, meaning that I have the same colors in both palettes. And this helps a lot to be accurate with my first draft and the final painting. Why the first sketch is in watercolor usually for me? Well, first of all, watercolors are really easy to use and they are really immediate. They give you an immediate result. They dry very fast and they are really portable. And this is true especially if you travel with your palette and if you keep a sketchbook and you want to paint something that you've seen or you have experienced on your ways out and about. They are really inexpensive as well. My palette is quite pricey here, but it's not the most expensive of the palettes. And you can have a decent watercolor palette for just a few euros. So it's a very easy medium to use. Although you could use pencil, color pencils, gouache, but of course the portability is quite different here. And then, of course, the fact that my watercolors exactly mirror my oil palette, this really helps very much. And you could build yourself your own watercolor palette and experiment with it. For the coloring stage, in this specific stage of the painting, I like just to go a little wild and experiment with colors that I don't usually use or that don't match the reference picture and that are quite creative. This is really And then probably the most important part of the painting is getting in there with my oil paint. And of course you can use acrylics or gouache or any other medium that you like. The thing that I like to do is to mirror more or less the paint that I use in my watercolor or in my initial sketch. I keep track of every single pan and tube of paint that I have, so I do know more or less precisely what paint it is. This is not a rule set on stone, so you don't really have to do exactly what you've done in the first sketch, but it is a nice way to study the color and the composition. As you can see here, I kind of went a little bit outside the box of my watercolor painting, giving this little owl some more depth and kind of an additional thought. I'm really hoping that you enjoyed this painting, and please subscribe if you did. Bye bye!